Welcome. We are officially welcoming. For the past 4 minutes, I've been saying a lot of hello, hello, hellos. I'll continue to admit people into this space as they get here, but welcome. Tonight, we are doing the moon phases. So we have called this the Intro to the Moon Phases Masterclass. And I am really excited. Who was here last week for the masterclass on Tuesday night? Johanna, Tiffany, awesome. So some of you experienced that. Some of you are new tonight. Wherever you are is exactly where you're meant to be. You'll hear me say that a lot. Last Tuesday night was so magical. It was so wonderful. And afterwards, I was like, okay, there's got to be a part two, because last time it was a lot of theory and a lot of stories, which are super powerful, right? Like, Johanna, I could feel you. Like, those stories, I could feel it. Like, we all know how important and how potent it is to experience all of those. And tonight, like, we've got to get our fingers in it. We've really got to start learning how to be actionable about how we incorporate the moon and the moon phases into our lives, into our journeys. And that's what I'm going to teach you tonight. So, super excited to have you all here. I'm Jillian Bolands. I'm an intuitive life coach. I am the mama of 3 little boys. Super long story short, but one of the stories that you'll hear me say over and over again, just in different ways, about me connecting with the moon, and the reason why I love Mama Moon so much, is because I didn't have a natural period for over 14 years, was told that I could never have babies naturally. Yes, I had them naturally, but I could never conceive them without doctor's support. And I had 2 beautiful babies by way of the IUI process when I was living in a very head down, kind of like dude centric way of like force, go, 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 never say die. And a number of different things lined up, and I just couldn't do that anymore. I couldn't keep functioning in a way where I was abandoning myself and not listening to my intuition and not allowing myself to flow through the cycle. And so I started asking myself why I didn't have a period, and became enamored with cyclicality at that time, because everything is a cycle. Everything is a cycle. And when I started to want to uncover my own female cycle and tap into the energy that would allow a period to come to fruition, I found the moon. And let's just start here. We're going to dive into the 8 phases tonight that I follow. But the whole moon cycle is about 29-ish days. And so is our female cycle, right? Like, this is not a coincidence. God, goddess, universe, spirit, divine source of love, whatever your word of choice here for what you feel most connected to in terms of the abundant power of love that surrounds us, it knew what it was doing, right? With giving us a cycle that was the same cyclicality, same amount of time as the moon. So super powerful. And started following the moon cycle, started uncovering what I'm going to start teaching about tonight and helping you to uncover for yourself. And 7 months after starting that work, I got my first period, which I thought was the end of the miracle. And of course, you all know that I am a mother of 3 boys now, because we got pregnant the following year. I found out in July 2019 that this body that I was told probably would never actually have a period, and who cares if you don't have a period? You don't really need one. You're fine, right? And not only like was I told that I couldn't have a period, but I was told that I probably would never have a child without medicinal support. And I did. So you may not be looking to get pregnant and have a baby, but you may be looking to tap into miracles and flow in your own way. Is that a yes? Like, are you all looking to, you want to just, you feel like there's a different way of functioning and being and living, and you're ready to learn more about it? Am I right with that? Thumbs up. Hey, Victoria, I see you. All right. Hey, Karen. Awesome. To describe the moon, trying to think of a word for a thing that holds you. Yeah, Tiff. Oh, I like that. So fun. Not usually more than one Tiffany in one place. I know. I think that too about Jillians. If there are multiple Jillians in one place, I'm like, whoa, this is like total abundance. So we've got multiple Tiffany's in the house. We know we are ready for some magic tonight. Okay. Do all of you ladies have the worksheets that I created and sent you? Awesome. Good. I think what I might do, if it's helpful, I want to do a quick, so this is going to be way different than last week. This is going to be much more Jillian style, where it's like we are cozying up, we've got our blankies, and we're just like, I'm like here to like teach and coach and guide. And also please feel free, like as questions come up, this is more of a masterclass where I can answer questions on the fly. I don't have freaking 90 slides to read through. Not that it wasn't powerful, but this is more my style. So I am grateful to be here with you in this way. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with a quick overview, and then I'm going to pull up the slides and like kind of share my screen just so you can see them here too. And that will keep me focused on the phase, which will be really helpful. I would love, Tiffany loves a good worksheet. Yeah, these are really good too. I would love, ladies, if, like I said, if you have questions, just let them rain, because it's only going to add to this experience. And my plan is to have us out of here by 8:30 p.m. I know, like, does anyone else feel like it's actually midnight right now? Like daylight savings time, and like tiny humans that like don't know how to regulate their body with this. Like we were all up in the 4s this morning. So there's nowhere else I'd rather be tonight. So let's start with this. Okay. Take a deep breath, ladies. And just ground in. Just ground in. Just ground in. You're exactly where you're meant to be. The fact that you are here wanting to learn these things is a testament to you, and you witnessing that little intuitive voice that's within you. You may not know where it's going to take you. You may not know what any of this actually means right now. You may understand the words that I'm speaking, but you don't quite have your own vernacular for it. None of that matters, because you are saying yes to a big part of your journey right now. And Mama Moon is up there in the sky doing her beautiful thing and inviting us into always being willing to learn and ebb and flow and grow and stumble and learn and flow again. So last Tuesday, we talked about, so many of us have been taught that we need to just continue barreling through life and we need to keep forcing through. And usually it's at the expense of ourselves. So we have a super, super bone dry, empty cup that we think we can keep serving from. Well, Mama Moon is up there, and there is not one single moon cycle ever that she's like, I think I'm just going to stay a full moon this whole time. I think I'm just going to stay in the disseminating phase this whole time through. She never does that. So the fact that we, as cyclical, intuitive, magical beings, think that we can continue functioning in a way, whether it's that over obligated, overproductive type of way, or that scared, so I'm not going to take any action and I'm going to hide and just not move type of way. We're not meant to be in those stagnant places only. We are actually meant to ebb and to flow. And as we start to tap into our own natural cycle, a couple things happen. First, we learn how to trust ourselves. And we actually learn what it is we crave, and we learn that we are worthy enough of giving ourselves what we crave, because when we do the thing that we actually want to do, we are even more productive on the other side of it. So if you want to take a rest, for the love of all things holy, Mama Moon is asking you to take a rest, just like your sacred body is asking you to take a rest. And guess what? When you rest, you actually do just that. You rest, which invites in space for inspiration to come as you're rejuvenating, which means you'll be even more powerful when that doing phase kicks in again. So let me do a quick overview. The cycle is, every moon cycle is about 29-ish days, and there are typically 13 moon cycles throughout the course of a calendar year, okay? Within a moon cycle, I like to follow 8 phases. There are a couple different reasons. And when I first started doing this work, ladies, I followed 2 phases. I followed from new moon to full moon, and then from full moon back to new moon. New moon to full moon, kind of like think about it as like taking the covers off and getting ready to go. Like that new moon to full moon is more of that action-oriented, action-centered time of the cycle, whereas the full moon back to the new moon is where I mean, the moon's getting darker and darker in the sky, just like you pulling the blankie up over yourself. So it's more of that inward vibe. So I followed that, breaking the moon cycle down into 2 phases. So about 14-ish days each phase. I followed that for a good solid few months as I started to get used to this journey, as I started to understand it and just learn more about it for me. What I found was that that wasn't quite enough, that I was waxing and waning too much in those 2 bigger cycles, that I wanted to get even more specific. So now I follow the 8 phases, which we're going to go over tonight. And the reason I follow that is because it's like 3-ish, 4-ish days per phase. And think about it. I mean, think about the course of a week and how your energy can change just in 1 week. It's because you're experiencing 2 different moon phases in a single week. And so being able to witness your own experience with it and understanding where it aligns with the moon is going to be really powerful, because here's what you're going to be able to start to proactively plan for the times that you know it's time to go and time to rest. And so people ask me all the time. I actually had a friend, she reached out to me a couple days ago and she said, how do I know if I'm really feeling the full moon or if it's just like the placebo effect? Like, I know that the full moon's coming, so I think I'm feeling it. And I was like, that's a really good question. And also, does it actually matter? Does it actually matter if you're really feeling it or if it's a placebo effect? Because the reason why we do this work of understanding the phases is so that proactively you can take care of yourself on purpose, based on the phase that's coming, based on how you're generally feeling, understanding that it's not always going to be exactly the same. That would be boring. But you also want to have some things that you can count on. So the reason why we want to get specific with understanding the phases is because we want to be able to proactively live our lives. How many of you would like to hop off the freaking hamster wheel that you've been living with, like the, oh my gosh, I'm constantly reacting and it's always feeling stressful and I just don't like this anymore? Understanding where the moon is, understanding the energy associated with each phase, and how you typically feel. Now, Tiffany, I was going to say, all right, Tiffany R and Tiffany L might be in the same phase with the same name, but they may have 2 completely different experiences with it, right? And I want you to hear me when I say this. You are always right. People ask me all the time, well, I'm feeling this, but the moon is telling me I should be feeling this. No, the moon is there for guidance. And she's there in those moments where you're like, you can't make sense of anything else that's going on, or like your cycle feels off, or it just feels funky for you. It's like, okay, the moon brings you back to center, but you're always right. So I want you to learn that these energies here are super powerful, and you will start to notice where you do connect in with different energies that the moon cycles have available to you, and where you don't, and that's okay. One of my greatest lessons that I've had to learn along my journey, and one of the greatest lessons that my one-to-one clients, my True You Tent ladies, my Moon Cycle Collective ladies, all of these women have, is like, it's like the same general themes pop up generally with the women, the sacred, incredible women that I get to coach. It's that we have been programmed that if we do things different from somebody else, we're usually wrong. Can anybody relate to that? If somebody else is doing it differently than you must be wrong. They must be right. They must have it. Because clearly they've got it way more together than you have it, right? Like, believe me, I've run these stories through my head bazillions of times. Been there, own the t-shirt and the trucker hat. Like, and ladies, it's tired. It is tired. So let's just, can we just like put our hand up or something and like put our hand on our heart? Like, I promise to trust myself. I know, I see you whispering it. You can say it a little bit more loudly. Yeah, thank you, Catherine, for turning that video on. Yeah, go ahead. I promise to trust myself. How about this? I'll take the pressure off. I promise to learn and try to trust myself. Okay, can we start there? Good. And we're going to utilize the moon cycle to really help and support us with that. And also, we're going to promise ourselves that if we do it a little bit differently, we are right. Because, ladies, the only way we can get this wrong is if you go blatantly against your intuition because somebody else told you so. So we're done with that. Okay. I'm going to share my screen now for one of the worksheets, just so I can follow it along with you guys. I really want you ladies to start to like sink into this and get to know this. So I'm going to share my screen. How are you guys doing? Natalie says, I'm done living with an empty cup. Yeah, sister. There's not, ladies, we're too freaking powerful. We've got work to do here. And if we're constantly trying to pour out of an empty cup, that work, that sacred work is not ever going to have a chance to come to fruition. So let's cut it out. Let's turn up the love that we have inside and let's learn how to work with ourselves. Okay? How's that sound? Cozy and fabulous? I think so. All right, let's do share my screen. Screen. Okay, excellent. I've got, so what I would love for you guys, you ladies, you beautiful goddesses, can you ladies grab this worksheet? And if you don't have this printed off, feel free to just jot down notes because I'm going to go through each of the phases and share with you the energy that is available in those phases traditionally, typically. And then I gave you another, it looks almost exactly the same. This one says moon phases info chart, and then you've got the moon phases feelings chart. This feelings chart is going to be one that I want you to actually utilize over the course of the next moon cycle for yourself. But I'm sure you can already start to plug in some things as we chat a little bit about this. So you ladies ready to dive in? I'm gonna take a sip of water. Let's check out the chat. Can I get my chat when I'm in share? I don't know if I can. That's okay. Okay, ladies, let's start at the new moon. So the new moon is the first phase. And remember, ladies, I'm recording this. So if I'm going fast, it's just to make sure that we get through everything. You will get the recording. And I gave this to you because I want you to make notes right in each little pie slice. You can make notes. Right now, I'm going to be sharing with you about the energy of each phase. Then we're going to talk about how you can tap into the energy personally. So new moon, ladies, this is the beginning of a new moon cycle. So every time the moon is new, we actually can't see her in the sky. The sky looks black. The sky, it's basically like fertile planting time. So I want you to think about the new moon as planting new seeds of intention. The new moon is when it's kind of like, you know, the saying like, I'll believe it when I see it, but what we are actually about, or what we are actually meant to learn in this life is that I'll see it when I believe it. We get to utilize that mentality to really bring, oh, good. You're so welcome. We get to utilize that mentality of like, okay, I'm going to see this when I believe it. So we're going to utilize the new moon as the opportunity to plant the seeds on what it is we want to feel and what it is we want to do throughout the moon cycle. So new moon is a great time for you to sit down and set some intentions. It's like the world is your oyster. Picture a farmer looking out over a field and having no crops in the ground yet. Like she could literally plant whatever plant she wants in whatever part of the field she wants. The new moon is exactly the time for you to get really brave and get really excited and allow yourself to just dream into, what do I want? What is it I want to do? That's an action. And what is it I want to feel? How do I want to feel over the course of the next 29-ish days? The new moon is also an outward energy phase. So you'll see every other one is going to be outward, inward, outward, inward. This is why when we learn how to live with this cycle, we can plan in. For those of you who are constant doers, when you live by this cycle, you actually start to build in more of that being time frame. And ladies, here's one thing, like this is just going to be a major truth bomb, and I know this is going to sting, but you're ready for it. If you are not willing to get quiet with yourself, if you are not willing to have those self intimacy moments, then you will not be able to bring that grandiose, amazing life that you freaking want to live to fruition, because it's in those silent, still moments that you have those deep, reverent conversations with yourself. That's where you get to have these conversations of, right, what is it that I truly want? Drop all the baggage, drop all of this, drop all of that. How do I want to show up in this life? So we're going to talk about how to utilize the phases to help support and facilitate those conversations. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're using the excuse, I don't have enough time, that is a prime, that's like bells on, like bells ringing, lights on, telltale sign that you're not getting intimate with yourself and that you're not having those sacred conversations with yourself. Because what we tend to do is we busy up our time so that we don't have to feel our feelings, so that we don't have to have those conversations with ourselves. But those conversations with ourselves are where the magic lies. So, new moon, planting seeds of intention. Then we go into crescent moon. Crescent moon is an inward phase. This is a time that you're getting quiet with yourself. This is a time that you're allowing yourself to be. So I want you to think about this. In the new moon, you planted, you actively got out there and you set your intentions. You started planting those seeds. You were taking a lot of action and kind of like setting the stage for what you want everything to look like. In the crescent moon, most people try to skip over this crescent moon stage metaphorically because, all right, they set their intentions. Now they want to get to work. But in the crescent moon stage, if you allow yourself to go inward for just a few days and feel that deep connective energy with yourself, then what you do is you allow yourself to embody those intentions. How many of you are really good at like coming up with an idea and then you get to work, but it's super heady work? So like you go because logically you know what to do, but then like you feel disjointed from whatever it is you're doing. It's likely because you haven't allowed yourself to embody, fully embody. And ladies, we are feeling beings. This is our superpower, that we get to feel. So the crescent moon allows us the first opportunity to really feel those intentions that we set and embody them. And like, it's kind of like, yeah, you're darn right, I set those intentions. Like you give yourself like that, like superwoman, like badass opportunity to feel what it is you said you wanted to do and how you wanted to feel. Which brings us to the first quarter moon. So first quarter moon is another outward, waxing, doing energy phase. The first quarter moon is, I like, for those of you who have ever done track or at least watched track and field, it's like the runner is in the starting blocks and she's going, like now she is like hitting the track, running, and it's time to go, it's time to move. The key with the first quarter moon phase is that it's time to take action, yes, but with discernment, because likely you now want to do all the things and you want to get it all done and you've embodied it and you're excited about it and now you want to go, but it's like squirrel syndrome. Like it's kind of like when you haven't sat down at your computer for a few days and you're like, I have so many things to do, I don't even know where to start, right? And so first quarter moon, yes, we're going to get to work. It's going to be really fun. And first things first. Then second things second. This is where like the multitaskers in the room can get themselves into trouble because they want to do all the things. And then it just feels really, again, disjointed because you're trying to, a squirrel that chases two nuts catches neither, right? So first things first, second things second, take the action. It's time to go, girls. And do it in a way that's really honoring yourself by being super present and using discernment with the type of action you're going to take. Okay, that brings us into the gibbous moon, which is the phase right before the full moon. And this is another inward time. You're seeing the pattern, right? Outward, inward, outward, inward. So with the gibbous moon, this is a time for reflection. And also, I just feel like this is the beginning of have you ever heard of the term vulnerability hangover? Like, oh my gosh, you did the thing. And then like a couple days later, you're like, you can't believe you did the thing, right? So like you took the action, like you set the intention, you embodied it, you took the action, and now you're like, oh God, I did it, right? And especially for those of you that are not used to honoring yourself, remember, because we're focusing on what it is you want to do and how it is you want to feel. So that gibbous moon, you can feel a little bit of that, like, oh gosh, I did it. I did it. And a little bit like, was that okay? And so you might be second guessing and questioning yourself in this phase at the beginning as you first start utilizing these practices. So the gibbous moon is all about self-love and self-appreciation and really focusing on the positives that took place over the first half of this moon cycle. So the gibbous moon, you the reason why it is you want to get in and you want to utilize the waning energy is because you want to take care of yourself. You want to remind yourself of how proud of you that you are, that you took the action and that you're okay, right? You're safe. This is in the gibbous moon. You want to constantly be reminding yourself that you are safe and you are worthy and you're taking stock on what worked and what didn't work over the previous phases. And it's beautiful because if you do this and you're able to sit with those things, so you're able to sit with, okay, I planted seeds of intention, I embodied them, I took action, and then you kind of look back with like an investigator eyeglass and like, okay, what worked really well? What do I still connect with that I set intentions on? And then what didn't? What did I think I wanted? But like, oh, I tried that out and that just doesn't feel good. Gibbous moon is where we're getting the clarity on that because in the full moon, which is the next phase, it is time for celebration and release. So full moon begins the second half of the entire moon cycle. And the full moon, I mean, ladies, just picture it. Picture the moon from last night is big and beautiful and bold and vibrant and luminous as she was in the sky. Picture, like bazillions of years ago or yesterday, perhaps if it was you, women getting out and dancing in the moonlight, being fully embodied, having fun, and dancing in the moonlight. And what they're doing as they are doing this is they are celebrating what has worked really well for them. And they are releasing through dance, because when we physically move our bodies, we move energy in different ways. They are releasing what didn't work so well for them. And so full moon is an active stage because you're both celebrating and you're releasing. Full moon is an incredible time to write down the things that didn't work for you and burn them, release them, allow the energy to be transmuted throughout the universe. Because when you write things down and then you actually burn it safely, if you're going to like actually do burning things, like please be safe with how you're utilizing flame. But when you actually turn a piece of paper into another element, like the smoke that comes after you burn it, you're allowing the universe to take what was there that you're ready to release and transmute it into pure positive energy to put back into mass consciousness, which, ladies, we need less of us holding on to crap that we could just release for us because it clears up space within us. But also, if it's transmuted into pure positive energy, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking the whole world could use some more pure positive energy out there, right? So we're actually cleansing space within us and we are contributing positive energy to the mass consciousness when we release. Questions? How are we doing? That was the first half plus one. Natalie, go ahead. If you have a question, you can unmute yourself.
I didn't write down the crescent moon. I know it's inward, but what are we specific? What's a specific focus?
Crescent moon is embodying what your intentions were. So we're getting out of your head and we're getting into your heart.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, of course. Great question. Awesome. Okay, ladies. So that's full moon. Full moon is awesome. And I'm going to say this too. Whenever we release, we want to be conscious of what we're replacing it with. The universe is like a big vacuum. So think about your closet. When you empty out your closet, when you decide you're going to go through and get rid of clothes that no longer serve you, fit you, are in style, whatever, and you empty out those things from your closet, if you're not careful about what you're choosing to put back in there, then clothes again that don't fit you, don't serve you, might get put back into your closet. So you want to be really mindful that whenever you release something, you get very specific with what you want to replace it with. So if we are going to release fear, let's fill it with love. Let's fill that space with love. If we're going to release any bad habit, what do we want to replace it with? We want to replace it with a specific better habit. Full moon is an amazing time to do this. Okay, disseminating moon. The disseminating moon is it's delicious, and it is the time of deep, deep, deep nurturing and nourishment. I joke about this all the time, but the disseminating moon is normally the time that I'm like cozying up with a blanket and my kids on my couch and watching movies and crying and telling nobody ever to talk to me for like 3 days. Like the disseminating moon is a time that my physical body does a lot of like the natural release. So I cry a ton. And like, remember how I was talking about the placebo effect? I've tested it with the disseminating moon. I've like gone into it being like, I'm sure I'm going to be fine this time around. So it must just be in my head that I cry every other time. And then like I get like slammed with like like an ocean that wants to gush out of me. And I'm like, nope, this is just me. And so I know that for this coming week, I plan my calendar. I plan my calls. I plan my social life. I plan all the things to really support myself during this moon phase. And if I have a lot of calls or coaching or whatever it is for work during this phase, for whatever reason, I know that in other areas of my life, I must go way, way slow, right? So, like, if I've got a lot of calls for work, I'm not like going to go out and try to also be a social butterfly, which I know, like, COVID and all the things right now, like, that's not super an option, but just in terms of general life. So, disseminating moon inward, we're really focusing on taking care of ourselves because we just released a lot of stuff. We just released a lot of stuff. So, we want to get back into nurturing ourselves. Then we step into the third quarter moon after we've released and after we've taken care of ourselves. The third quarter moon is another waxing, doing, action based phase. And two things happen during the third quarter moon. The first thing is you get to reap what you've sown. Because guess what? You've been doing some work externally and internally throughout this moon cycle. And some of those seeds that you planted, they're ready to be harvested. Third quarter moon is kind of representative of fall within the seasonal year. So third quarter moon is pretty amazing because yeah, some things didn't work. You had to release some stuff, but guess what? Some things really did. And you get to like bring those things to the bank while also simultaneously planting new seeds and taking corrected action, right? Because if we've taken stock on what hasn't worked, then we know what we get to try next. So third quarter moon, you are simultaneously reaping what you've sown and you are taking corrected action based on the data that you collected over the course of the phase or of the cycle. And then that brings us to the balsamic moon. Oh, most of us have been trained to not even know that the balsamic moon phase exists. Much like how most of us pretend like winter isn't a thing, and we think we can just like, finish up, like tie up the loose ends from one project and then dive right into the next one. So we try to go from like fall to spring and like forget that we need to rest in between there. Balsamic moon, this is how I picture the balsamic moon. Sitting on a porch at the end like of one of those beautiful like long hot summer days where you look out at the land, all you've lived an entire moon cycle and you've got a glass of ice cold lemonade, your feet are up. In the balsamic moon, you are simply marveling at all you've done. You are loving on yourself big time. You are congratulating yourself. You are feeling proud of yourself. You're celebrating everything that worked and everything that didn't work, because you know there's another new moon coming. She's not here quite yet. You don't have to act yet. We don't have to set new intentions yet. But you know she's coming. And you know that you're a baller and you have pretty much, like, you've got your number. You know what's worked and you know what hasn't worked. So cool. Next cycle, you'll revamp. You'll do things a little bit differently. You'll do things perhaps a little bit better. But for now, you're really proud of yourself. So you're going to rest. You're going to rejuvenate. And you're going to allow that to be everything. Not just okay, but everything. Questions? All right, I'm going to stop my share. I'm having a super heavy period right now. So during the full moon cycle, to harness the energy of the moon, do I go by my personal phase since it's opposite? I got distracted. What is third quarter moon? Okay. Elisa, hang on one second. I'm going to answer that in a second. Tiff, third quarter moon is, it's the duality phase of you are reaping what you've sown, and you are taking new action based on the changes you've decided to make. Okay, Elisa, great question. So yeah, so back in the day, ladies, so I have a coaching group called the True You Tent, because I'm freaking obsessed with the idea of sisterhood and us getting back together in sacred circle and sharing those moments together and just like honoring each other and sharing story and sharing truth and helping one another uncover our truth. And so back in the day, women would bleed together, typically on the new moon. And when they did this, they would literally go into a red tent, and it would just be them, mothers, daughters, grandmothers, all sharing story, all connecting, bleeding together, releasing together, fertilizing the ground together, and sharing stories, sharing ritual. And then they would go out and they would be rejuvenated, not just from their body from a physical sense, but from that like deep sisterhood connection sense. And so, like I said, that typically happened around the new moon. Now, every single person, we all have our own connection to our cycle and the moon cycle. Remember, you can't get this wrong. Just because if you bleed on the full moon, if you bleed on the third quarter moon, it does not matter. What matters is you get to honor your cycle. But Elisa, to answer your question, to harness the energy of the moon, you go with your personal phase. But if you flip flop it, there's actually not a lot that's super different. You can flip-flop it to support yourself, but I just, if you've never heard of the author Lisa Lister, I highly recommend her. I just actually finished her book, Love Your Lady Landscape, and she's got another book called Code Red, which is all about our periods and our actual like physical experience. And she talks about the moon cycle and all these things. So I highly recommend those. I recommend Code Red, and I haven't even read it yet. That's how much I trust and love this author. She's incredible. And I loved how she put it. She said, if you get your period on the full moon, so when we get our period on the new moon, toward the full moon is when we're ovulating, and we kind of like want to go inward. We kind of want that like sacred inward space. So the second half of the cycle is more of that inward experience. If you get the way she said it was, if you get your period on the full moon, you actually want to, because you're going to be at the new moon when you're ovulating, you don't necessarily want to go inward. You want to share your wisdom and share your journey. It's more of that outward connection that you have with your ovulation and with your story. So I want you to sit and see how that resonates. I also heard that, for women back in the day that bled at the new moon, those that bled at the full moon would take care of them. And then vice versa. For those that bled at the full moon, the new moon ladies would take care of them. So sisterhood is so amazing. When sisters come together in circle, magic happens every single time, 100% of the time. So sit with that and see how that feels. And we can keep going into that deeper. Tiffany said, how do we prioritize the moon phases with the start and end of months, quarters, seasons? I love it. So once you start practicing this, this becomes I know it sounds right now that it feels like an extra element. It sounds like it feels like an extra thing added into your already busy life, but that's because we've been programmed to work on a quarterly and a 9 to 5 and like that type of cycle. And so what you'll start to see as you follow this, the other stuff will kind of fill in to it. Like it won't when this becomes your main focus, yeah, the other stuff matters, and also, yeah, it's just another part of you living your life. So, but I'm going to say this too, seasons. I mean, I probably will do another whole masterclass about that. But seasons in general, we have been taught, ladies, that every single day, no matter where the moon is, no matter what the season is, we should be acting exactly the same. Right? We should be acting the exact same on July 31st as we should on January 5th. It's like, no, because they're completely different seasons. And so when you think about a calendar month, it's cool to look at a calendar month and just say, okay, this is what I want to and need to perhaps get done this month. And also, where is the moon during different times of the month? So I can make my choices based on that. And also, what's the weather doing? Like, where are we in the year? If it's spring, I'm going to feel a whole lot different than my body is inclined to naturally feel on freaking day one of daylight savings time going into winter, right? We just feel differently. We're told that we can't. We're told that that stuff shouldn't matter, but we are not created like a dude. We are not created in the way that men get to function, and they have functioned, and all of time and legitimately how everything is set up in life is based around like a man's schedule. So we just get to be the brave ones, ladies, that finally say, yeah, cool, all right, I see you and your monthly obligations, and I see you and your quarter, like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 things, and I'm going to do it my way. I'll still do what needs to and gets to be done during those time periods, but I'm going to do it based on when I feel the very best with going and with being. And I'm going to incorporate rest and rejuvenation into it because that will actually help me be more productive. Is that helpful? Good, 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 good. Suggestions on apps to track on your phone. Well, how about you just follow the daily tracker I made you? The crowd goes wild. Hang on one second. Natalie, hang on one second. Let me share this with you. So those of you who haven't seen it, ladies, I literally suggest keeping it this simple. What's the date? What's the moon phase? How do I feel? And what did I do? So I mean, for me, I would you can do this at any time during the day, but I would seriously, and there are apps, Natalie, and quite honestly, I don't use them. And I have like 6 apps on my phone that people have sent me about the moon that I would like to get into at some point. But for me and like teaching it to you all, this is what actually matters the very most. So if anybody else uses an app, please feel free to pop it in the chat box. But this has really helped me over the course of time because when you this is why we do this. Here it is, because we get to pick up patterns. When we recognize that, oh, for 3 months in a row now, or 3 moon cycles in a row now, on the first quarter moon, I am a freaking rock star. Like, I will get all the things done. I can go on 3 hours sleep and feel fresh as a daisy in the morning. Like, I've got it. And then also, interesting, disseminating moon. Oh gosh, I better have chocolate in my house, and I better have warm pajamas available 24 hours a day, right? And so when you pick up on these little nuances, then you can better proactively care for yourself in the future. You can utilize those times where it's time to go. And you can utilize those times where you really need to rest because you know these things. And what did I say at the beginning? The point of all of this is to learn how to trust yourself. Because, ladies, hear me when I say this. There are no two people. No two of us on this call have the same definition and meaning of truth. And your true self is true to only you. And she is the only one that you must and you get to honor and embody. Your truth may be different than my truth. And I'm telling you that it is. And all that matters is that you learn how to honor your truth. And when we do the things we say we're going to do, and when we don't do the things we say we're not going to do, we establish trust with ourselves. And many of us have been taught not to trust ourselves, whether it be from ancient, like lineage things, or whether it be in this lifetime with parents and teachers and friends and people that you thought were friends and ended up not being friends and coworkers and all the people weighing in with all the opinions and all the stuff that they try to put on you. We've been taught not to trust ourselves. Tapping into the moon cycle is an amazing way to help you learn how to trust yourself, because you're going to start to pick up on patterns and you're going to start to support yourself based on those patterns, so that you know when your cup is getting dry, you can fill it. So that you know when you are forcing through something and you need to flow. And this is where the fun is, ladies. This is where the fulfillment is. When you learn how to trust yourselves, when you learn how to work with the action energy and the being energy, that's flow. That's you tapping into your own natural rhythm and your own natural flow. And miracles happen because as we create space in our lives, we create space for miracles. Most of us busy ourselves so much that there is no room for magic. That's not my share. Did you all feel that? Most of us busy ourselves so much, there's no room for magic. That simply can't be anymore. So, all right, I'm going to pause here for questions. Oh, yay. I love that you ladies know each other. It's so fun. Hi, Heidi. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Questions. Anyone have questions? Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question too. Good. Doing okay. Somebody unmuted. Karen, did you unmute?
I did. I was wondering, are we gonna do the feelings chart next, or are we supposed to put
On it.
things in there?
Yeah, no, we're gonna do the feelings chart next. And I'm
Okay.
gonna walk you through, because we're not gonna like fill that out necessarily right now, unless you know unless you know, like every single time the new moon comes, this is how I feel. But I kind of want the feelings chart to be a working document for you.
Yeah.
You can utilize it similar to the tracker. The tracker gets to be more specific with like stuff that you actually did and how you felt. But the feelings chart, like I said, women, we are feeling based creatures, right? And so as we understand the feelings that pop up, and now we know the energies of the cycles, we can kind of blend the two together. So for instance, in the new moon with intention setting time, there's excitement, right? There's a little bit of the unknown. There's that mystery, but also like that hopefulness and that belief. If you find that at the new moon, you experience any of those feelings kind of like more steadily, then you know kind of what superpowers you get to tap into. So let me share my screen for the feelings chart. So what I would recommend, oops, hold on, I didn't share it. What I would recommend, ladies, we are in the full moon phase right now. Yesterday was the full moon. And I encourage you, think about how you were feeling yesterday. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling tomorrow? I would say, and feel free to like pop in the chat box, ladies, if you have anything that's come up for you. How are you feeling right now? And remember, this could change month to month. It also changes based on your zodiac sign, what your moon chart looked like when you were born. All of that contributes here. But generally speaking, the energies that I just shared with you about each moon phase is traditionally what you know you can hone in on. And so when you recognize your feelings and you know the energies that you can tap into, that's some second level magic right there, because you can marry the two. And where when during the phases where it's like, oh gosh, like according to the moon I should be feeling this over here, but I'm feeling this over there, you get to ask why am I feeling this over here? Is there any way that I could support myself more? Well, let's see what you guys are saying. Chat. Actually dancing today, yeah, Karen. I usually feel really overwhelmed and kind of sad around the full moon. Totally common, Tiffany. And that could be like a lot of us, when we feel like we've got to release some stuff, we tend to feel guilt because we wasted time with those things in the first place, or we took action and it wasn't what we should have done, so we kind of get in that like shameful cycle around that time. So awesome, look at that and then say, how can I release the shame? How can I release the guilt around what I did or didn't do and better support myself around this time? The perfectionist thing. Yeah, Tiff, do you feel that during the full moon time? Heidi said, I got a head cold and had zero energy all day. Remember, ladies, too, yesterday was freaking Halloween. This, this is like a big energy week.
Powerful.
Yeah. Let's see. Would it be ideal to synchronize our periods to either the full or new moon, meaning we are not synchronized with the moon if we have period in different phase? There's no ideal. There's no ideal. Like I said, the moon is kind of the energies that I share are for the moon, and they're for all of us to tap into. The energies that the moon has, ladies, are available for us at any time. If we're feeling similarly and connected to them, cool. We're probably tending to flow a little bit more easily. If we're not, then we can ask ourselves why. We can ask ourselves what's going on internally for us. And we can say, okay, I'm feeling this over here, but the moon has this available for me over here. What supportive measures could I take to align with the energies that are available? And remember, ladies, just because it's available doesn't mean you're always going to take it, for better or for worse. But there's no ideal time for your periods. Your period is going to be ideal whenever it comes. And the moon is going to be there to support you through that. Tiffany Reed was saying the perfectionist thing. So yeah, well, during the full moon, Tiff, it's like it's that juxtaposition between the releasing and the celebrating. And if you are in that spot of like needing to do everything perfectly, then you don't want to release because there's the shame that there was anything to release in the first place. And so you want to celebrate. But if you are celebrating and you know that you're not fully celebrating because you didn't really release some stuff, it's like that ping pong game that happens back and forth. So ladies, this feelings chart gets to support you in understanding your cycle and how it taps in and can sync and connect to the cycle of the moon and what's available for you. Was that a better way of putting it? The moon has what's available. If you don't connect to it naturally, there's nothing wrong with you. And it just gives you an opportunity to take a peek and say, okay, where am I holding myself back? Why won't I let myself get excited in this phase or rest in this phase? It's an opportunity for you to look and say, okay, this is what's available. Why won't I let myself connect into those places? What stories am I replaying over and over that I don't feel worthy of connecting into some of these phases and some of these feelings? And how can I do that inner work to let that go so that I can allow myself to have what is already available for me? Because ladies, reminder, you are innately worthy. And when you allow yourself to have the things that are actually already abundantly available for you and for all of us, then that's you participating with the worthiness that is you. How do you figure out the days in between phases, so to speak? Is it just a matter of tracking to see when you transition? Yeah. And Lisa, so good question. So every phase is like 3 to 4 ish days. So they bleed a little bit, right? So it's kind of like if you're feeling like, so for me, me with the full moon and the disseminating moon, I know I'm like high vibe, like, okay, let's celebrate, let's release on the full moon. And I get tired quickly afterwards because I usually am teaching and coaching and guiding. And I am so committed to my own personal inner work and inner journey that I want to utilize every opportunity and every ounce of energy that's out there to support me. And so sometimes that's sustainable for longer in the full moon. And sometimes I shoot myself right into the disseminating moon phase, like today, right? So the full moon was technically yesterday. The phases can be felt 3 days before or 3 days afterwards. And the next phase can be felt 3 days before and 3 days afterwards. So there's that transition zone where it's like, okay, you get to trust yourself. You know what's available. And how do you feel? Like I said, there are some days that like disseminating moon, I won't feel that until 6 days after the full moon because it's been so high vibe. And there are some cycles that it's like, I wake up, I mean, the moon could be full in the sky, and like 2 seconds later, I'm like, okay, it's time to rest now, right? So it's learning how to really be with yourself in the process, and also making note of like the times where it's like, yeah, I just feel pretty good right now. I'm just transitioning. I'm just going with the flow. I'm actually flowing with the moon cycle. Good questions. It's almost like consulting an oracle card in the morning, kind of, sort of, right? Yeah. So it's well, that makes so much sense. The transitions. Yes. Oh, good. Good question, Lisa, because that really helped. Victoria, like, do you mean like just like when you're tracking this and when you're tapping into it? Go ahead and like unmute yourself.
Right. So it's kind of like if you are considering an oracle card in the morning, you can kind of take it or leave it. And it's a suggestion. It's not exactly how your day is going to go, but you're sort of pausing, reflecting, and saying, like, what can I gain from this message? So this is obviously on a broader scale, but
Yeah, no,
it's
you're
that
exactly
relationship
right.
with it.
Yes, it's what you pour your energy into, ladies, is the thing that actually matters. The moon cycle for me works because I can feel it. I can feel connected to it. And if there are some days that I'm like, no, I'm just not going to, it'd be like pulling a card and saying, okay, yeah, thanks for playing, but no, like I'm just, so it's like whatever it is here. And here's the coolest part, ladies, and this will be a great way to kind of wrap this up. So Victoria, that was a beautiful understanding of this and presentation to us, because here's what we are: energetic, magical, cyclical beings, and we are also human with free will and freedom of choice. We get to make our choices. We get to make choices and participate with our day, with the phase, and with the cycle in general the way we want to. Ladies, I've been doing this work for years and years and years, and there are still some days that I'm like, nope, I'm opting out of this, right? Like, because I just don't want to, or it just doesn't feel right, or it just doesn't feel applicable, right? Because it's not a science. This is pure energetic, spiritual, self-knowing, self-trust connection. So you have the choice with how you want to support yourself, with how you want to plan and proactively participate. And also, you have the choice of where you want to self sabotage and just like not play for a little while because you're human and you just want to be in the muck for a little bit. We all go through those phases. You start to learn more and more about how that just doesn't work and how it doesn't serve you. Or even if it's not helpful to your soul, it's working for your person right now. right? Because that's the whole point. We are here and meant to feel our feelings and to learn our lessons and to support ourselves. And we get to utilize the moon phases. And ladies, now that you know the general energy of the phases, you'll get to just see where you fall. And so here's what I want you to promise. Over the next cycle, as you start tracking, I want you to be unattached from it. I want you to just look at it as really cool data collecting opportunity for you. Because remember, you can't get this wrong. And wouldn't it just be cool to see how your feelings naturally come up in each of the phases? And then wouldn't it be cool the next month to see where the same general feelings are happening? Ladies, with my clients, like I'm looking at Tiffany right now, I'm like, I know now like different times of the moon cycle when my clients come to me with like a story that maybe we've worked through, or like maybe like oh stuff, and I'm like, didn't this come up? And so I tell them, I'm like, didn't this come up like last first quarter moon for you? And so we kind of dig back and it's like, oh yeah, maybe, right? Like maybe it did. And so you just start to uncover and get to know yourself better. And for those of you who don't know, my Tiffany R there, she is a magical unicorn, and we've been doing a lot of work together for forever. So it's just so delicious to do that and to know that, right? And it's helpful. It's helpful, especially if you're committed to your own deeper personal knowing and work. It's helpful because as you start doing this work, you get to notice the areas that you finally get to release yourself of whatever bondage you've been holding yourself in, and fly and flow. It's fun. Let's see. I like the idea of looking ahead and planning month, high vibe, and being inward. Do you have the moon cycle dates for November on hand? I do. I do. And ladies, go to, I mean, you can literally Google it, but it's timeanddate.com. But if you Google moon phases, it's timeanddate.com, and it will say like moon dash phase dash something or other. And that will tell you based on where you are exactly where the moon is. So I check into that almost daily just to make sure. And when you're doing the tracker and it says where is the moon phase, just check in there if you don't know. But let's see, we just had the full moon yesterday. So the next new moon is on November 15th. And then the following full moon after that is on November 30th. So in terms of the actual monthly calendar, this one's pretty cool because it's legit, like it spans the whole month long. And so in the middle of that, so it's nice because it's like in the middle of that, it's like, okay, just split it in half. That's why I like doing the eights, because like new moon, full moon. This is half a month right here. 1 week in, you're at first quarter moon. 3 weeks in, you're at third quarter moon, right? Cool. Cool. Awesome. How did this feel, ladies? Helpful? Good. Does anyone have any following questions? We're like 6 minutes over, but this is really, really, really good. Questions? I have to go put my girl to bed. It was nice to be with everyone. Tell her I said hi, Tiff. We'll see you later. Thank you, love. Oh, ladies, thank you for being here tonight. And I'm going to throw this out here because I know in the last call I talked about the Moon Cycle Collective. But I'm wondering if you are interested in talking with me about my Moon Cycle Collective, my True You 10, or my one-to-one coaching, can you just, no pressure, but can you just pop a comment in here, like right here, and I'll see it. And then I will email you and we'll schedule a time to hop on a quick, like 20-minute call, and we can just chat about it. We can chat about you and what you need. I can coach you through whatever is on top. And then, we can see if one of my programs and one of my offerings is the right one for you. If you do, and you don't mind just sharing your email address, I'll make sure to send you an email like right now. I can do that. But I didn't want to like put in a thing and say like, here's my Calendly link and just like do this. Like, no, like I want to actually have a conversation with you because this is my style and I want to support you ladies. So let me know. Good. I'm so glad. This is really great. Totally worth staying up. Yeah. Heidi, that's awesome. And if you don't want to put your email in for everybody, ladies, just you can set the comments to privately messaging me. And then I can get you that way and I'll send you a quick email and we'll figure out a time this week that works for all of us, knowing that the disseminating moon is coming. So I might be under a blankie when we chat. And I would recommend that you are too. Awesome. Yes. So, and if you have seen my Insta stories or my website at all, I do what I call moon print sessions, and that's basically what I would be giving you with this conversation. It would be, I'm going to coach you through something. I'm a natural coach. Right? Like I'm looking at Victoria and Eva. I'm like, I'm going to anytime I can, I'm going to coach and support and help you. So with my moon print sessions, we talk about something and we work through something. And then if it feels right for both of us, I'm going to make a suggestion as to where I can best and proactively support you. So even for you ladies who are watching the recording of this, because I know that many of you are, do me a favor and shoot me an email, jillian@jillianbolans.com, and just say you watched the recording, you want to schedule a moon print session. And so what I do is I like talking about where the moon is. I like coaching you through something, and then talking about Moon Cycle Collective, True Tent, or one-to-one coaching. Those are my 3 offerings. They are 3 amazing, amazing, deeply supportive coaching offerings, each with their own different flair to them. I know Victoria and Eva are here. They're in True Tent, and Lisa's here. She's in the Moon Cycle Collective, and it's so cool because I truly feel like I have something to really actually support every single one of my women, wherever you are in your journey. And depending on whatever it is you need, I feel really confident in that. And I love each and every single one of my offerings. And I have 3 to keep it really simple. And also to let you know, like if you start someplace and you want to progress further on down the line, that's always available for you too, because this is a cyclical journey. This is a never ending journey. And we get to do it together. So I am going to take a moment and just copy your email addresses. Actually, you know what I'm going to do to make my life easier? I'm going to take a picture of it so that I don't lose these when I hang up.
Excuse me, teacher, can I say something?
Please do.
I love you, Jillian.
I love you too.
Hey, someone had asked earlier about apps, a moon app.
Ooh.
I have one on my phone, which I love and I highly recommend. It's called DAFF, DAFF Moon. And the reason I like it so much is there's a part where it'll show you the juxtaposition of the sun and the moon. And it also tells you the percentage of that particular phase that it's in. Cool. And what the zodiac sign is and where it actually is in the sky. Cool. So it's helpful for me specifically just to see like, all right, so I'm now coming down from the full moon and heading into my blanket, my sweatshirt, and I'm like, okay, it's time to take a nap. That's it. Just DAFF Moon.
DAFF Moon.
My favorite app right now.
Thank you. Perfect.
You're welcome.
Natalie, I think that was you. So hopefully that's helpful for you, love. And awesome. She's saying yes. Good. Perfect. Ladies, thank you so very much. It's so funny because I could feel Eva in the disseminating moon on this call. Yeah, Eva, like, you're so cozy right now.
It's killing me. I was so like, go. And then today I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, and you know, October was really intense, ladies, in terms of astrological energies and all the things. And you know, we're on the other side of it now. So it's like now we rest. Now we take a little breather and we cry some tears and we drink some tea and we watch movies that make us cry and we snuggle and we do those things, right? Because that's actually part of all of this. So ladies, thank you for tonight. This was so magical in every sense of the word. I appreciate you. And as always, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, but especially in my Insta stories. I'm constantly doing moon stuff and spiritual stuff and energy stuff. So come and hang out over there. And thank you for being here tonight. And I will see you soon. I'll be chatting with some of you very shortly. I'm very much looking forward to our calls, and we'll go from there. Right?
Thanks, Jillian.
Somebody asked for the book names.
Book names. Titles of the 2 books I mentioned. Oh, you mentioned. What did I mention?
Lisa Lister.
Thank you. I'm like, oh gosh. You know, like my my sidekick. Like, thank God for Eva. The book names are Love Your Lady Landscape and Code Red by Lisa Lister. Also, what is it called? Lunar Abundance. Yeah, no, which is a different one. We'll talk about that for tree tent stuff. But Lunar Abundance by Ezzie Spencer goes very deep into all of these cycles, and I learned a lot from that. So that's a really good read as well. And it's beautiful. That book is actually like aesthetically very beautiful. So I really enjoy that one. Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. I will be emailing those of you that said that you're interested. And again, if you're watching the recording, send me an email and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you for your time and your energy tonight, ladies. It just means the absolute world to me. Good night.